What's up guys, welcome back to the Home Slice. Just have a fun little announcement for you today. So I just ordered and received a 1000 times HD digital microscope. Now I have to apologize to some of you because some of you guys have been telling me, Gabe, you need a microscope for like ever. And I've been like, no, I don't know. And I'm sorry. It actually took Sean Houston from the Big Brown Bear channel telling me, Gabe, you need to check to make sure that your profiling jobs on your fine stones are going all the way to the apex. You need to get a microscope. And also that you're not micro beveling or convexing accidentally. And man, when Sean Houston tells you to do something, you really consider it heavily. I mean, sorry guys. I mean, I really should have listened to you guys because you were right. Anyway, I've been playing around with this thing a little bit, got my head around it a little bit, and I'm going to just do a quick demo. I'm really excited for the extra data that this is going to give. Just a quick word on why I was hesitant to get a microscope. There are a couple reasons, and I want to say that being able to visually see something is not everything. There are kind of three key reasons that I've been resistant to getting a microscope, and I'll tell you why. Now, does it give valuable data? Absolutely. And is my sharpening going to get way better because I have this? I think so. And were you guys right? Yes, you guys were right. But the three key reasons is I will put these articles in the description. Please check them out if you're curious. Todd Simpson on thescienceofsharp.com has written an article about how optical microscopy cannot always reveal whether or not an edge has residual burr. He goes into several kind of analysis points, and can it be helpful? Absolutely. However, you cannot rely always on optics to conclusively prove whether or not you have a burr. Check that article out in the description if you want to read more about that. I'm not trying to preach that anything is bad or good. I'm just letting you know why I've been resistant. The second reason is Todd Simpson, again, came out with a 3-part series on sharpening S110V. And what he discovered in that series is so counterintuitive to everything. It's like why high alloy powder steel knives stay sharp is not what you think. Reading these articles absolutely blew my mind. It's crazy. And the science behind why an edge lasts on a high alloy powder steel is actually not because those carbides poke through and act as teeth, which I've always thought, and a lot of you probably think. It's actually because the apex is held rigid by those carbides that won't flex. It's not worn away as quickly. It increases, the apex of the edge increases in thickness much more slowly. The reason why the working edge actually lasts longer is because those carbides spread throughout the edge, they pin the grain structure. So between two carbides, there will be steel grain, and as it chips, the steel will chip in alignment, microchip, like invisible, you can't see it, you can't probably feel it at first, will chip between carbides. And what it leaves is, rather than a rounded, worn away edge, the edge chips away slowly, similar to the way that a ceramic knife does in another analysis that Todd Simpson did. And when it chips away, it leaves an edge structure where the corners of the edge are actually sharp, squared off angles. And that's important because that retains aggression. A rounded shape won't slice through things aggressively, but a squared off, sharp cornered shape will. Now, there is an area of diminishing returns with all of this as you add more and more alloy, because Todd also found in the third article that when the apex flexes back and forth during cutting, because it's so thin, it will flex. If there's carbides that are clumped and touching each other, the first pockets, the first damage that occurs is carbides separate from one another, and they initiate more significant damage. Because of this, for fine edge retention, for satisfying keen edge retention, your best keen edge retention is a steel with some small carbide pockets, like a powder steel, but where there's optimal carbide separation. None of the carbides are touching each other. Anyway, because of that, some of the reasons that a keen edge lasts are under the surface, and you can't see them. That was a really long explanation, I realize. But this is why I've been hesitant to get a microscope also. The third reason why is because in Vadim Krychuk's work, he also found that you can sharpen an edge that looks clean, but if you haven't removed the right amount of metal or used the right kinds of abrasives, gone through a significant process of deburring, there are times where you create what's known as a wire edge, where the damaged metal that's bent back and forth during sharpening remains as the apex of the edge, and it breaks away very quickly. It's another thing which is difficult to gauge optically. Okay, that was a big monologue about why I was resistant to get a microscope. So why did I get one in the end? Well, number one, because you guys and Sean Houston are smart, and there's a lot that can be learned despite those things. I think the other reason is to make sure that my sharpening is effective in reaching the apex. The analysis of different kinds of damage that you can see will be super valuable. And just being able to put eyes on what different edges look like, if there's microchips, what the texture of the edge looks like, and how to visibly see how the outside of the edge degrades over time will be super valuable data. Anyway, my goodness, I have talked so much. Let's take my Spyderco CPM M4 military, which was sharpened with my very own dual grit edge, which is a great edge, but doesn't always hold up super well to intense shock. And I sharpened this and then took it out and chopped tree branches off because something came up at work where I needed to use it for that. For probably about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I was chopping with this thing. I have used this thing so bad. Oh, poor guy. Anyway, I'm gonna switch views over to the microscope now, and we're just gonna take a look at how the CPM M4 dual grit edge held up to some shock, because that's a fun first thing to do with the microscope, and whether there's any damaged areas that we can see, because again, as I've said, that's one of the reasons that I'm excited to have the microscope. All right, I'm gonna clap so I know when to switch the video over, and here we go. Okay, here we are. It's a pretty nice, clear little microscope. I'm liking this so far. There's definitely some edge chipping visible. I can't tell if that is, oh, that's actually either some plant matter remaining on the edge. Let me clean that off. Or it could possibly be some patina. Let's look back here. Oh yeah, there is definitely some patina, good old M4. It would appear that after this chopping work, what's flashing here? I think I'm messing up the exposure of the microscope. For the most part, I'm pretty pleased with how this edge is held up. It's still got that coarse dual grit texture. You can actually see it, which is really cool. don't see any areas of like ultra significant chipping, even though I actually hammered this thing. Here, I'm gonna just refocus so that I can view this last part of the edge. Because I noticed that I was getting some reflections off of a certain part of the edge. I'm going to see if we can visibly see any. Oh, you can see a little convexing of the edge there. You see how the reflection changes? See if we can actually visually see any flattening. There's a little chip there. This is cool. Hey, you guys were right. This is cool. This is going to help with research. Ah, there we go. I think that's the spot that I was seeing. It's a little bit flatter there. You see how it goes in a little bit? And there's actually a little bit of edge damage there before I sharpened it, and I think I didn't remove the fatigue steel enough. I forgot to do a lateral stroke to tear off the fatigue steel. Edge looks pretty good, and overall, it's actually still... Oh, I got a little chip in the tip. I think that was from a previous ding where I hit a rock. And I should have removed the fatigue steel when I was sharpening. Anyway, I'm pretty pleased with how that edge held up to some pretty severe impact, actually. And it's so cool to be able to see it on the microscope. It's also so funny you can see little bits of patina on there, or rust. This is how the knife is presently slicing paper. There's a little bit of a slowdown right there, not much of one, but right where we saw that indentation, that slight indentation. Overall, at least with steels like M4, I've been really pleased with the impact durability. There we go, there's the spot. Yeah, the impact durability of dual grit edges. They do pretty well. Anyway, if you want to see my fully updated how I'm sharpening dual grit edges at the moment until the research indicates a better way, check out my MagnaCut sharpening video. I'll put a link right here. This is the way I sharpened the MagnaCut mule that I sent to Pete at Cedric and Ada. That cut 1,550 times through sisal rope. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll just say peace out from the home slice. You guys take care. Bye.